Today we're bench pressing, and I've got a guest from the UK. His name's Ollie, and he's one of the strongest men in the world in the under 90 kilogram category. This guy's a beast, and he's here to train with us, and he's a strongman. Strongmen don't bench press in their competition. However, a lot of my strongmen, I still will strengthen their horizontal push pattern. So I will give bench press in their programming. Just like my powerlifters who bench press, I will still make them do shoulder pressing. So today, Ollie's not used to doing bench press, especially the way that I teach it, but I'm going to introduce it to his program, and we're going to see how that goes. You get to see the techniques that I teach, and hopefully it works for you too. Let's go. First things first, what we're going to do is check out his rack height. So judging by what he looks like, he's not tall, his arms aren't really long. I don't want that rack height to be super high. The first error that people make is having the rack height too high. They have to protract their shoulders to get it off. So we want to keep the shoulders back and down with this technique. So the rack height, I would rather you have to press that weight off than have to shrug that weight down. Most commercial gyms don't have a setup like this. Look how many adjustable settings we have. We've got heaps because this is a competition spec bench. But most commercial gyms have two hooks. One that's too high and one that's too low. Not ideal, but my recommendation is to put it on the one that's too low. Okay, so it might be a little bit too low to your preference, but you'd rather that than it being too high. If it's too high, it's going to take you out of position. Empty barbell, let's have a look. Step by step with the cue. Step one, sit at the edge of the bench so that when you lay down, you don't whack your head on the barbell. Lay down. Good. Step two, slide back so your head is off the bench. Step three, bring the feet back and get up onto the balls of the feet. Okay? The reason why we slide back to get in this position is because if you didn't slide back like that, you wouldn't get the feet as far back. I really want to wedge those feet in. So now that the feet are back, on the balls of the feet, I want him to push his heels downwards. All right? You're going to feel that in your back when that happens. Pushing the feet down, heels downwards, they're not going to touch the ground. I look for a 45-degree angle of the sole of the foot. Pushing the heels downwards, grab the bar. Now with that downwards pressure of the heel, he's now going to slide into position so that he's, ideally, I want his eyes to be behind the barbell in line with his mouth. So it's not, if it's in line with his eyes, he's going to be reaching too far back. When you reach too far back, it takes your shoulders out of position. Barbell in line with the mouth, that's perfect. From here, shoulder blades back and down towards his back pockets and heels down and unrack. Give me 20 reps. Good, so this is really good technique. This is fine, it's only an empty barbell, easy to do, good technique. You can't be perfect here, that's totally fine. Let's just get this warm, right? And then we'll start adding weight, and then you're gonna see his body change when there's more weight in the bar, and the techniques that I'm gonna use to help him shift the heaviest loads. I'm definitely not as strong as Ollie today, but I will be benching alongside him. So, I'm gonna do the exact same techniques, slide back, feet back, heels down, slide into position, and 20 reps. Now we add weight. That's the first time I've seen Ollie get in that setup, and actually he's quite coordinated. Some people can't achieve that arch position, and if you can't achieve that arch position, arching your upper back is paired with retraction and depression of the shoulder blades, or shoulder blades back and down. So some people can't arch their upper back like that. So if they can't arch their upper back like that, their shoulders won't be in that right position. So because his shoulders are in the right position, I'm comfortable with him using a wide grip. So for those who can't arch, it's not comfortable to use a wide grip. That's what you end up looking like. So if that's the case, you end up having high risk of injury for your shoulders or pec tears and things like that. But for him, I am comfortable for him to use a wider than normal grip. The widest legal grip in a powerlifting competition is index finger on the outer ring of that powerlifting bar. With Ollie, he can do that because he's coordinated and he's got great mobility and a lot of great strength, but it might be slightly a little bit too wide. So maybe we'll go a little bit inside of that, but never go outside of that line. The main reason we don't go outside of that line in powerlifting competition, you're just not allowed. And in the gym, if you go outside of that, your hands are going to get really, really close to this rack, and this is how you hurt yourself. So don't go wider than that line. No, let's go. Slide back, feet back. So he's going with his ring finger on the line, so I think that's a good grip for him. If you don't have this mobility, I'd say go even closer than that, but for him, he's looking good. Feet are back, heels are down. Come back a little bit further, I say. Feet back a little bit more. Yeah. Now push the heels down. Good. Now slide forward. Barbell, come back in line with his mouth. Come back a little bit. Good. Eyes behind the bar. Okay. Shoulder blades back and down. Heels down. Take a big breath and hold it. Hold your breath. 5 reps. Down and up. Good. Very good technique. Not everyone looks like that when they bench, so it's going to be an easy day. Slide back, feet back, balls of the feet, heels down. I do hold it on the wider sleeve grip, but I'm quite strong here and I've been doing it for a while, so I'm very comfortable in this position. Favorite ways to warm up is to start light, lots and lots and lots of reps. As we go more and more weight, we reduce the reps. So first set was 60 kilograms. Well, empty barbell, which is 20 kilos, he did 20 reps. Then we did the first plate, which was 60 kilograms, 5 reps. We've got 80 kilos on here, so probably do 4 reps now. Let's give it a go. Slide back. More. Head right off the bench. Head right up, slide back. Good. Feet back. On the balls, pushing the heels down. Slide into position. Pull the shoulder blades, eyes behind the bar, shoulder blades back and down. Take a big breath and hold it. 4 reps. Shoulders back and down, heels down harder. Good. On the next set, I'm going to make him slow down. Okay? Because I'll tell you what happens. When you go really, really heavy, it's hard to move that fast when you're really, really heavy. So people warm up on the light weights really fast because it's so easy, but then it gets heavy and it's like, oh, I've got to stabilize this. So what I try and teach people to do is think about how slow you're going to move on the top weight and use that on the warm-up weights every set leading up to that top weight. Because I'm not teaching him how to press 80 kilograms. He can already do that without even having to think about it. I want to teach him the skill of lifting a really heavy weight. Strength is a skill, and this is where it starts. It starts every single time you touch a barbell. All of the warm-up reps are a good opportunity for us to practice the perfect reps. So have a look at how I do it, and that's how I demonstrate with Ollie, is watch the speed that I'm going to do it at, and I want you to focus on that speed and do that for your next set. So I still push it up pretty fast. I say down with control, up with intent. Another mistake that people make is pushing the weight up really, really fast, trying to be explosive. The problem with that is a lot of the times they push it so fast that it takes their shoulder blades out of position. So think about keeping the shoulders back, and just like imagine you're standing out of a chair, you don't jump up in the air, you stand with the right amount of force that's needed to get that weight up. Same here. Explosive, but always under control. I like to bench press with a belt and with wrist wraps. This is stuff that you can use in competition. It's not cheating. And not everyone needs to use it. A lot of people will use the wrist wraps in competition, but not everyone uses a belt. Now, this is when I recommend using a belt. I'll ask you now, how does it feel? How does your back feel when you're doing that arch?
So it feels like my back's cramping a little bit in position.
So that's not uncommon, especially when it's the first time you're doing it. Some people experience back pain when they're doing that arch. Most people, it's arching like this is a completely normal position that our spines can achieve without pain. It doesn't mean that everyone can do it without pain. So for those that it hurts, first thing I like to do, and even cramping like that, this is where I like to use a belt. Because what a belt does is it teaches us how to push our abs into the belt and support our spine. So a lot of the times, simply by adding a belt, it can reduce a lot of that discomfort on the spine. Now here's the thing, if it doesn't and it still hurts, then I'm going to make him stop arching, because I don't want you to push through pain. I never make anyone that I work with push through pain. So if arching hurts your back, just don't do it. Flatten your feet, don't bring your feet back, and don't arch. And if you don't arch, don't use a wide grip. Okay, so let's have a look what a belt looks and feels like for Ollie. Yeah, we may as well put it all on. So Ollie uses elbow sleeves in his strongman competition. They're completely legal. And they just add a little bit of warmth for the elbow joint. So let's put them on. Next thing is a wrist wrap. So a few things to think about with the wrist wrap. If you have a look at how he's done it, what we need to do, if you look at the wrist there, right, you want to make sure it's going over that joint. It needs to go over that joint. A lot of people put it under there and they can still move their hand. That defeats the purpose of having the wrist wrap. So it's a little bit uncomfortable, but that's how you really support that wrist. Okay, 100 kilos on the bar, 3 reps. Slide back, feet back, balls of the feet, push the heels down and maintain that downwards pressure. Slide into position. Eyes behind the bar. Breathing, breathing, breathing. Before we unwrap, we take a big breath and hold it. 3 reps. Hold your breath, control. Control down, drive it up. Good. Control down, drive it up. One more. Control down, drive it up. Excellent. How did that feel with the belt?
Felt good. Felt like I was solid, locked in. Didn't
Great.
Cramp at all or anything.
No cramping. So that's a very simple solution. Some people it may not be a solution. Some people it might still be uncomfortable or it might still hurt your spine. So if it hurts your spine, which most people it won't, it's a completely safe exercise to achieve, but some people it might cause discomfort on your spine, and if that's the case, don't arch. But for him and for me, it really solves that problem straight away. One small thing that I noticed about Ollie's technique is the sole of his foot was about 90 degrees. So that means his feet are a little bit too far back. What I want is for the sole of his foot to be about 45 degrees. So that's going to make the movement a little bit less aggressive on his back. When your feet are too far back and there's discomfort, that's a really quick fix, is don't bring him back as far. So 45 degrees for the sole of the foot, that's the goal. All right, let's go. We've gone up to 120 kilograms now, and we're going to reduce it by another rep. So we're going to do 2 reps here. So feet back, but we're going to not go as far. Heels down, slide into position, eyes behind the bar, shoulders back and down. Take a big breath and hold it. Shoulders back and down, control that weight down, 2 reps. Heels down, drive. Heels down, drive. Good. Looking good. Okay, so warm up increments. He's strong. So I know that he's a really strong guy, and you can tell that by looking at him, but why don't you tell us, what's the most you've ever benched?
I haven't actually maxed bench since I was about 17. Back then it was about 180. I did a 180 incline bench a few weeks ago, but I mainly do overhead press. I do things like log press, strict log press, like I say, a lot of overhead pressing. So
what's your strongest strict overhead press?
Strongest strict overhead press is 150 log, but I've not really pushed it too much.
So strict is what I asked for, because I know that a lot of strongmen, they use their legs, and that doesn't apply here. You can only do a strict press here, so that's why that's more relative to what we're doing. So if he can strict overhead press 150, he can definitely do a bench press of 150 and a lot more. Everyone's horizontal push pattern is stronger than their vertical push pattern. So I know that I could really take him to 150 kilograms with no problem. So with Ollie, we're doing 20 kilogram jumps. That's totally fine. The rest in between these sets starts with not much rest. So from empty barbell to 60, he's not fatigued. So I'll give him a minute rest, and then we go a minute and a half, then 2 minutes, 2.5, 3 minutes. And right now he can still take, 2 to 3 minutes rest between these sets because it's quite easy. But then when we get to the top sets, we'll start extending that rest period out to maybe 5 or even 6 minutes, depending on how heavy we go. If we go over 150, 160, 180, I'll probably take him to 6 to 8 minutes rest, but we'll see. Feeling good. 140 kilograms on the bar, and we've just discussed that this is going to be the last 20 kilogram jump. So as we said, his overhead press strict is 150, so that's going to be next. So 140, so we're doing 20 kilo jumps. Now we're going to go 140, 150, 160. So a lot of people might think that's a lot of warm-up sets. Well, actually, it's not fatiguing, it's actually stimulating. So what I'm going to do is not make him do 140 for 10 reps or anything like that. It's just 1 rep. so that he can feel that weight, and then 150 kilograms so that he can feel that weight, I'm anticipating that he will get over 180 kilograms. This weight isn't that fatiguing for him, but what happens is when we're introducing a new technique, if you try and take jumps that are too big, it's hard to maintain the technique. So it's not just about he's warm enough to go straight to 160 now, but we don't know if his technique is going to be able to handle it. What happens is when you start getting heavier and heavier weights, your body goes into safety mode and you start really contracting so much of your muscles, which can take you out of position. So we take smaller incremental increases as we get closer to really heavy weights, which is what we're doing now. Control, heels down. Control, drive. Good. Now what you're going to notice is I don't have to give him cues anymore. We've done all of the cueing, so this is an important tip for the coaches out there. We've done all of the cueing for the lightweight when it's really easy and he can really think about what I'm saying to him. But as it gets heavier and heavier, it can be distracting if I give him too many cues now. So all of the cueing is done now, his technique is great. And now if I do give him a cue, it might be one thing at a time, but typically I like to stay quiet from now on. So now that I'm getting heavy, I'm going to call on someone who knows how to unrack to help me stay in position. A lot of the times when you unrack yourself, it's easy to take yourself out of position. And for me, position is very important. So whenever I have a spotter with me, I'm always going to use them. 150 on the bar. Control, low on your sternum, drive. Good. Feedback. I noticed that he touches quite high on his chest, which is fine, but I think it looked like he'd be better if he brought the bar down a little bit lower. So especially with an arch with a bench press, sometimes when we touch a little bit lower, it allows us to tuck the elbows a little bit more and reach a higher position of the chest, which is safer on the shoulders when we tuck the elbows a little bit more, but it's also easier because it's higher on the chest and he doesn't travel as far. Feedback that he got is it felt comfortable, so we'll stay there. Very minor adjustment, but something that I like to look for is the angle of the upper arm is, roughly about 45 degrees, not too tucked. If you go too tucked, it's too much triceps and you don't get to use your pecs. Going too flared puts your pecs at a really big stretch, which is good for building muscle, but when you're shifting the heaviest loads, the more stretched the muscle is, the weaker it actually becomes, and that's where flared elbows at a big stretch with heavy loads can cause pec injury. So that's why we like to put the pec at a mid-range. The best way to do mid-range, roughly about 45 degrees for the upper arm angle. So not too tucked, not too flared, right in the middle, when the goal is to shift the heaviest loads. For me, I'm gonna do 160 kilograms, and this is gonna be my top weight for the day. I don't train 1 rep maxes all the time. Actually, it's very rare. Most of the strength work comes from 3 rep range and up. So that's where I really like to train for most of my time. So right now, 160 kilograms. Maybe I can do sets of 5, we'll see. It's been a while. But again, I'm gonna get my spotter to come in, safety first, help keep me in position to unrack, and I'll go for 5 reps. That felt comfortable. I probably had, maybe a rep or 2 in the tank. I don't always go to fail. With strength work, it's better to not go to fail. And actually with most of the work when you're doing heavy weights with compound movements, I'll always prescribe to leave a couple of reps in reserve. If I took this to fail, I wouldn't be able to do a second set of 5. My energy levels, I would fatigue. So the second set would be reduced quality. So now by saving reps in the tank, I will be able to do another set of 5 after this. 160 on the bar. in, shoulders back hard, heels down hard. Hit lower on your sternum. Nice. That looks really clean. Nice. Some people like to do touch and go reps, and some people like to pause. In powerlifting, you have to pause, so that's why typically that's how I like to train. But with Ollie, he doesn't do powerlifting, so he's got the choice of either. And usually when I'm teaching someone for the first time, I give them the option. Sometimes I like a pause because it teaches people to stay tight under load. When you do the touch and go technique, a lot of people try and use momentum and bounce the bar. Now, when you get heavy weights like that, it's not a good idea to bounce the bar or try and move the weight with momentum, because bouncing the bar and moving with momentum can switch your muscles off. You don't want any of your muscles to be switched off under loads like this. So Ollie just said to me, is it better to use a pause? And I said, sometimes. How did it feel? And he said, it actually felt good. I agree, it looked good, and if you had a look at the speed of that compared to the 150, that looked cleaner. Even though the 150 you slightly did a pause, but I think it looked cleaner because the 150 was the first pause he did. 140 was touch and go, 150 was pause. So when you change the technique like that, it's a different technique. But he had 1 rep practice at that. So something I'm going to make sure is that he does that pause for the next set and the next set. So if he was going for his top set, and he was practicing with pauses all the way up, and he tried to do a touch and go afterwards, I'd say, don't do that. You got to warm up the way that you're going to perform that top set. So now we've agreed the pause is going to be the one that he does. I think with heavy weights like this, I just think it is more comfortable, even though it seems to be a harder technique. I'm going to do a piss. You going to follow me? Now he gets 2 goes in a row because that was my top set, that was a working set, and I'm going to take 8 minutes rest. Whereas Ollie is at a point where he's probably doing 5 minutes rest between these sets, so that's why he gets to go first. Take your time, chisel your shoulder blades into the bench. Okay? Squeeze them in, grip them into the bench. Grip them in, grip them in, grip them in. Shoulders back, shoulders back, shoulders back, shoulders back. Good. Heels down, heels down, heels down. Drive. Yeah. Good. Really nice. Strong.
Hi.
You want to give us an unwrap and make a guest appearance?
Yeah,
What's up?
but it's not cute.
Why are you
Okay.
not cute, man?
Well, I am cute.
Good one.
Good one.
Many thanks. For those who don't know, that's Dinny J. So we just had a bit of a change of scenery. So God was spotting before, he's a lot stronger. But Dinny J, I'm just more used to her unrack. She's been doing it for me for the last 10 years. So
Oh,
she
really?
gets it up. No, Alex is the strongest in Australia. So yeah. Yeah, we'll put up another video of us showing you the dynamics of this next. But actually that was good, so that's 2 sets of 5. Still had more reps in reserve, and I'm going to do a 3rd set of that.
Good one.
Control. Feet back a little bit more, good. Pull down hard. Take your time, shoulder blades in hard, heels down hard. Shoulder blades in hard. Control. Good. Nice.
Lost the line.
Yeah, you did.
Felt comfortable.
Yeah, it was strong. If you have a look at the bar path, it was slow because it's a new exercise for him. He's unfamiliar. So I know that he wants to go heavier, and I know it looks like he can go heavier, but what I would like is to do that again cleaner before we go up, because now we're approaching weights that can tear your pecs. If something wrong happens, if it goes offline very slightly, that's where injuries happen. So that's why I don't want to just say, yeah, that was easy enough. next time do it better and we'll add weight, that's going to change it a lot. So therefore, I'm going to make him do that same weight again and do it better. Remember this, you need to earn the right to add weight to the bar. Okay, so from a coach's standpoint, if you're using a light weight to warm up and the technique's wrong, I wouldn't say change the technique and I'm going to add more weight on and then practice that new technique with the new weight. That's the worst way of doing it, because when you add more weight to the bar, it feels different in your hands and it won't fix the technique. So earn the right to add weight to the bar. That's what Ollie's going to do, and we're going to repeat this after about, I think, anywhere between 6 to 8 minutes.
Very nice.
Yeah, good day for it.
Hi.
Thank you. That's my benching done. Off to accessories. But before I do accessories, we're going to go back to Ollie and make him do that 180 better. Ollie is a psych-up lifter. If you've ever seen him lift, he brings a very big intensity with him, which is awesome. And it's really important for strength athletes at the highest level to be able to get that space mentally. However, when we're learning a new technique, that can interfere with the thought process that goes behind the lifting. Actually, if you have a look at his intensity, maybe you'll see it in the video. I could see his face, but you guys couldn't, but he really switched on then. And I think that sometimes that level of arousal can interfere with the technique. So actually, when I'm teaching people for the first time, I try and keep that psych-up process down to just focus on the technique. For him, that weight moved really easily. For him to do 180 kilos the first time we've benched in years is insane. It's really unheard of. So he's super strong, we know that. But at the same time, he will get even stronger and he'll lift a heavier weight if we just refine that technique. Too much arousal can interfere with good technique. Right now, it's not about how much he can lift, it's about good technique. So we'll try that on the next one. We'll try and, I still want focus, you know what I mean? But don't go, you know what I mean? No aggression. So the next thing you did as well, if you watch how I do it, compared to what you're doing, is I grip my shoulders into the bench, right? So you kind of go back, back, and then you go here. I go, and I'm gripping my shoulder blades in there. I really wedge it in place. Something that I noticed you've got as well is that light shining right in your face. Fuck.
So it's like you get one side in first, then the other.
Absolutely. Take your time. Chisel it in. Don't just come in with the shoulders in and sit. They won't be in. Put one shoulder in, grip it in, and then move the other one in, grip it in. And then we unwrap. Big focus. Take your time for the setup. Big back. Heels down hard. Take your time. Heels down hard, squeeze those in. Grip it in, grip it in, grip it in. Take a big breath. Shoulders back hard, shoulders back hard, shoulders back hard. Control. Drive.
Yes.
Oh!
Oh,
Did you see the difference?
Yeah, it felt a lot better.
Man, see how good that was? So that was perfect line and it really pinged up. Now, here's the thing with learning a new technique. I know it's going to upset Ollie when I say this, but I want to bring it down and do reps now. I know he wants to beat 180, and I know he will, but not today.
Yeah.
Not today. He could. You just saw how easy that was. But what I want to do is, like, he could probably do definitely 190 and then probably even 200. But 200 might be hard, and he might grind through 200. And when you grind through 1 rep max weight, that's what takes you out of position. And that's where we increase risk of injury, not here. We don't want to do that now. We don't need to do that. It's just a training session, and he's training to be the world's strongest man in the 90 kilogram category. So no injuries. So what we're going to do is drop the weight, probably down to maybe 140. And I'm just going to make him rep it. And we're going to refine that pattern with a lower load, and then he'll probably jump up week after week. Like, let's just say I was to program him to do a bench press. I could go 3 by 8 on 140 on week 1, and then 150 for 8s, and 160 for 8s. And then we'd drop it, and we'd probably come back to test 180, and we'd probably be able to do that for 5 reps. So I don't care for 200 for 1. I think he's got the strength to do 200 for 5. So instead of going for 200 for 1 now, we're going to go for 200 for 5 later on in the year. Stay tuned, we're going to do a back down set just so that you can see the difference in movement. When we drop it down, we'll probably just take a plate off and do high rep sets now. That's so good. Ollie isn't short for Oliver, it's short for Ollivander. Just kidding, it's Oliver. But it's Oliver. Now what we're doing, 8 reps. Now I'm going to tell you a secret. Not for everybody, just for those who want to get strong. Hold your breath for the whole set. Wait. Hold your breath for the whole set, which means before we unrack, take a big breath. And then we exhale on completion of the set. When you exhale, you can lose a little bit of position. Under heavy loads, that makes the movement harder. So if you want to be really, really, really strong, hold your breath for the whole set. All right, Ollie? Yep. Let's do it. Okay. Control. Let's go. Goes down, shoulders back down. Shoulders back, shoulders back, shoulders back, shoulders back. Let's go, control. Heels down, drive. Drive, good. One more. Hold your breath. 5, easy. 6, 2 more. 7, nice. How easy is that, man? Yeah, easy. Yeah, that looks good. Beautiful, you're in the groove. All right, so that was a successful bench press session. As you can see, 180 kilograms was very easy for Ollie, but that's how I like to do it when we're teaching someone a new technique, is not actually max out, always leave reps in reserve, especially when we're dealing with weights that heavy. 180 kilograms is definitely enough to cause a big injury if something wrong happens. So we always want to leave reps in reserve. Top set of 180, he actually did a couple of sets of 180. Very comfortable, and then 2 sets of 8 on 140. We're going to do a whole bunch of accessory exercises, which this video would be too long if we showed you the entire session, but maybe we will be back another day for accessories and show you how we like to plan the entire day. Hope you enjoyed. Click subscribe, follow all the good stuff, and follow Ollie. I'm going to put his Instagram page. Go give him a follow. Support him for the world's strongest man journey. His goal is to be number 1 on the planet in the 90 kilogram class, and look at the size of this guy. You know, I'm 100 kilograms. Of course, he's not 90 kilograms now. He's about 100 kilograms, but he's a ball of muscle and he's a really strong dude. So hope you enjoyed the session, guys.